The rally this weekend, I think, was pivotal in terms of showing the world that the Trump coalition, the Trump constituency, is well intact, and that the drumbeat of media attacks on Trump has not diluted his support in the country among those who voted for him in iota. And the last time, look, we may have been a slim majority, but we were a majority.
And the polls show that.
And now you have an internal struggle over who will be the next national security advisor. In all honesty, I believe the president may now regret rushing to judgment on the question of General Flynn. It's abundantly clear that Flynn violated no laws, that the president directed Flynn to arrange a phone call with his counterpart in Russia. Nothing inappropriate about that. The New York Times transcripts, the parts of the transcripts that are printed, showed that he did not discuss sanctions with the Russians. General Flynn was a good man, and he has been sacrificed. And I think that is tragic. Reince Priebus and his minions, the folks who gave us the Labor Secretary, Andy Fuzdar, was so embarrassing that he was forced to withdraw his nomination. The man who gave us Acosta, the U.S. attorney in Miami-Dade, who gave Jeffrey Epstein a slap on the wrist when he should have been convicted of sex trafficking, and the circumstances around that, appointing him Labor Secretary is another Reince Priebus special. One has to presume that Mr. Acosta will be savaged by the Democrats in his confirmation hearing, including a focus on whether, after giving Mr. Epstein a walk, why Epstein would retain Acosta's private law firm after Acosta left public service shortly thereafter. Truly problematic. By the way, I don't believe that the president has ever met Mr. Acosta.
So is Priebus
over the national security director?
Sure. Well, let's get back into that, but let me ask you this question since you bring up that.
Yes.
With labor and the rest of it. I mean, so Priebus is consciously doing this or just is ignorant?
Perhaps he is unaware of Acosta's association with the more controversial nature of the Jeffrey Epstein case, although a simple Google news search would indicate...
I was about to say, you told me last week this was a bad move. Now it's in the news. The New York Times is already raising it.
Well, and I think, to give them credit, Politico was the first one to notice that the nominee...
Roger, we just lost your phone. Yeah,
we know that the Priebus operation has been frantic to get a Hispanic into the cabinet. In this case, they pick a Cuban American, which politically helps bring you a group you already have most of. Makes very little sense. Look, Nixon understood ethnic politics. He understood that your cabinet should all not be millionaires, that your cabinet or billionaires. That your cabinet should have some Catholics, some Italian Americans, some Irish Americans. These are old Democratic Party constituencies that we've hijacked. An all-WASP billionaire government doesn't do you much good politically.
Even if Trump delivers, though, and actually restarts the economy,
none of this will matter. All of this will be a gossipy sideshow that no one cares about.
Well, that's the good news is, as you know, the small business numbers have come in. They're the best since 1984 with the Reagan recovery. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, the point is that the business community, those who, have to live or die on the bottom line, I think they're pretty high on Trump. They want they want unfettered capitalism. They want a cut in regulations. They want a pro-business administration, which, let's face it, we have not had since Reagan was president. So, I give it a lot of credibility because if the economy is going to move, that's where it's going to move. And I think the president gets that. The mainstream media takes these other contretemps, whether it's over Twitter When did the president know, and when did he, and what did he know, and when did he know it? Response, who cares? What difference does it make? No one's Flynn didn't do anything improper. So what difference does it make when the president learned about it?
Roger Stone, where are we now in the ball game against the globalists? I mean, Trump has amazing press conference, amazing tweets about the enemy media, amazing, event in Melbourne, Florida. All this great stuff is energizing the public. His approval ratings, even in Cook polls, surging. But the Soros people just intensify their race war narrative, rallies with feminists chanting Allah Akbar on video everywhere. I mean, it seems like the left is going insane, but meanwhile, Fox News even admits Obama's building a bunker. You're going to go in a minute here, but just Obama's building a bunker and planning the overthrow of Trump. They seem confident, even though all the evidence shows they're up the creek without a paddle. And then Maxine Waters thinks that Russia's invaded Korea, not North or South. And meanwhile, at the same press conference, Nancy Pelosi thinks Bush is the president. So there is like a doddering mental illness to these people.
Well, the left still has not learned the lesson of the last election. The left still thinks the mainstream media has all the power, and therefore they're confident that they will ultimately destroy Trump the way they destroyed Nixon and the way they tried to destroy Reagan and Iran-Contra. What they don't understand is the new ballgame. Nobody is believing their BS. No one, MSNBC has no credibility. I did the show last night, and all I wanted to talk about was whether I was a racist or a misogynist for supporting Donald Trump. And all I wanted to talk to about was the dangers of censorship and people like you deciding who can speak and who can't. Based on
what about this new narrative that Trump wants to censor the media? And even Senator Rand Paul on CNN said, Trump's never said that. There's no evidence. There's no legislation. You're the ones that want to do it. Everything they say we're doing, they're projecting. So the new narrative is Trump wants to censor the press. Trump's a dictator. John McCain.
Yes. John McCain really needs to get in for psychological evaluation. I think he's around the bend. I really do. He's cranky. He's angry. I understand he's bitter because he ran for president and failed, and Donald Trump, supposedly with no political skills, ran for president and won. But, John, get over it. Go count that $1 million you got from the Saudis in your foundation. You can count it over and over again if it makes you feel better.
In closing, looking at the battle inside the White House, from the indicators we have, is Trump starting to get the fact the Republican fifth column's his biggest liability?
Well, the fact that he's out doing these things, reaffirming his intention to restore Glass-Steagall.
He's powering up his base, getting ready to run over the Republicans as well.
Right. But I guess I'm saying he's doing all these things over the objections of half of his advisors. That shows that he totally gets it.
Yeah, and he's still reaching out to, people and supporters, which shows he's ignoring what they're saying.
Well, he's working the phones far more actively than anyone knows. He's working the phones as actively as any president since Lyndon Johnson. And he can be very soothing and very persuasive and very charming when he's got a goal in mind. This is what makes him a great salesman. The country has needed a salesman. Country needs someone to resell the American dream.
Well, the numbers show it's happening. Let me ask you this in closing then. They're never defeated. It's a continuum, but when are they really backbroken, at least for the next few years? Just when the numbers just keep getting better? Because it seems like they're already starting to lose energy. Really, they're panicking, and they're diminishing. They don't know what planet they're on. It seems like they're getting really pathetic at this point.
I don't think they will ever throw in the towel. I think they have to be ignominiously defeated. They still have giant assets. While it is true that the alt media is on the ascendancy, they still control Google and Facebook and the keys. By the way, my YouTube account was arbitrarily closed down yesterday. Gone, finished.
See, what's incredible is we're all being censored. We're all getting hit. The New York Times is calling for it, and then we just kind of take it when they do. What do we do?
Well, I'm starting by announcing it right here and now. Every interview I have ever done at InfoWars was up on my YouTube channel. Perhaps that's why they took it down. I violated none of their rules. There's no reason to take it down. So I presume this is a David Brock initiative. My lawyers are in touch with YouTube now trying to get us restored. We have broken no rules.
That's the answer. We have to fight back. His book is available right now. It's almost at the top of the New York Times bestseller list. Let's push it over the edge. It's The Making of the Presidency 2016, InfoWarsStore.com or StoleColdTruth.com. Thank you, Roger.
Great to be here, Alex.
There he goes. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to Infowars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. Infowars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You gonna sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you gonna be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action.